Hello, everyone. We are CapFi Consulting. I'm Brandon White, and this is,
Mandy Furmanek.
and we are your benefit consultants. And we partnered with your leadership team at MAP to come up with the best benefits package for all of the employees. This was really a process that began 6 months ago, and it was a lot of research and evaluation on what would be the best benefits package for the company. I will let you know that we did use an analysis, some research to determine the benefits based on your industry. So these aren't just benefits that we kind of just threw and stuck to a wall. This was actually an analysis that came up with the average pertaining to your industry, taking into consideration the current plans and costs that you had. Well, we think it's a great package. We realize that there's going to be disruption, there's going to be changed to make it clear all current policies that are tied to group coverage are going to be canceled. So, medical, dental, vision, ancillary lines, voluntary products that are all group will be canceled, and this will now be the package that you will be enrolling in. I will explain here, and Mandy will explain the details of how you're going to enroll. We are going to use a benefit platform. So hopefully this video will answer a lot of questions for you on the benefits and the platform. I will tell you that in this benefit platform called Employee Navigator is going to have tons of information that will answer questions pertaining to specific benefits, costs tied to each plan, and how to enroll in those plans. So here is an introduction. Mandy and I have over 50 years of experience together. You can say we've seen a lot of things. It's always amazing, though, that we're always stumped now and then. But hopefully, we'll be able to provide some resources and help for you as you navigate through healthcare, which we know is very difficult. I'm going to review here the agenda and talk then about the medical, dental, and vision. And Mandy's going to talk about the ancillary lines along with this benefit platform. So the timeline, this is open enrollment for an effective date of August 1st. Your open enrollment period does begin today, July 10th, and will run through Friday, July 18th. We realize this is probably not the most time span that we want, but because we're up against an August 1st, we needed to do this rather quickly. But you should be given the tools and hopefully the time to be able to discuss the best options for you and your family. As a reminder, your benefits always run on a calendar year from January to December 31st. So even though the policy is effective August, your deductibles and out-of-pocket and co-insurance run from January to December 31st. Now, one of the most important questions that we're going to answer right now is, well, hey, I've already met my deductible with my prior plan. Well, the good news is that you're going to get credit for all of the deductibles that you have met and you're out of pocket. We will be able to generate a report that we will deliver to the new carrier, who is Aetna, and they will be able to apply anything that is met towards the deductible or out of pocket. Here's the caveat. There's two. Number one, it's going to take some time, right? We have to wait for claims to be processed and paid by the prior carrier through July 31st. So it could be well into September, maybe even October before those amounts are shown. Now, you may have to come out of pocket a little bit, but you will be reimbursed. The other caveat is that those that are with Aimpoint, unfortunately, you're in a small group product that requires for you to issue your explanation of benefits to Aetna that show that you've met an amount towards your deductible and out of pocket. We apologize for that manual process, but it is the way it has to be done. But you will be credited that amount once you've shown them in your explanation of benefits. So now going into the medical benefits, and here I will just stress again, as we looked at all of the options, we wanted to make sure that we chose a national carrier who had strong networks in all the states that the employees are located in. And that partner turned out to be Aetna. They are a strong national network. They're one of the top 4 carriers in the United States. And so we think they're a great partner. So we have 2 plans that we've come up with. We have a choice that you can choose from in these plans. One is an HSA. Many of you have an HSA right now, and so this is going to be an easy pick for you if you want to stay in the HSA. The other plan is a $1,500 PPO product. This is more of a copay plan, richer in benefits. I do want to stress that we are now having a qualifying event. In this open enrollment, you can make changes, obviously. If you were on a different plan in the prior carrier and now you want to select the HSA or the PPO, you can do so. You can add dependents. You can remove dependents. Those types of things you are now eligible to do. There are going to be some contingencies on the plans that you choose, and we're going to talk about those. But now I'm going to do a quick highlight of the benefits of each plan, and then maybe a couple examples on what plan you might want to choose. So the HSA, if you've been on this, you realize that everything in the HSA, each benefit is applies to the deductible. You have to satisfy the deductible first before you get any coverage. This even includes prescriptions. So that $5,000 individual deductible has to be met before you get any benefit. If you're a family, it's $10,000. The out-of-pocket, which is probably the most important line item because this is your worst-case scenario. If you were to have a big procedure that's going to run $50,000 to $75,000, you know my worst-case scenario is I'm going to pay $6,000 out-of-pocket for the whole remainder of the year, and everything after that will be covered 100%, no matter what it is. That for the family, it's $12,000. This coinsurance, 80-20, meaning Aetna covers 80, I'm responsible for 20, only applies when I have met my deductible. And then I get an 80% benefit. So for example, I go into a primary care physician, 80% will be covered by Aetna, 20% I will be responsible for, and this will occur until I hit my out-of-pocket of $6,000. Then it's covered 100%. Now, the only thing that is covered in full without the deductible having to be met is your preventive care. And we'll talk about that in a minute, but I wanted to stress this is 100% coverage. Now, the HSA allows me to contribute to an account pre-tax. And there's some huge advantages with that. You can accumulate the account. It's yours. It's your money. It stays with you if you were to go. And it's not a use or lose it. You accumulate it over year, and you can use this for expenses not covered in the plan. Now is the PPO 1500. This is the rich plan where I know I have a smaller deductible of $1,500. It's $3,000 for family. And then this out of pocket is $5,000, a little bit lower than the HSA, and $10,000 for family. Now in this plan, instead of everything being subject to deductible, I have copays. If I go into a primary care physician, it's a $20 copay. If I go into a specialist, it's $30. There are some benefits, though, are subject to deductible, lab and x-ray. So major diagnostic and imaging, the CAT scans, their MRIs, those things are going to be subject to deductible. outpatient, inpatient hospitalization subject to deductible. And then that coinsurance, 80/20 until I hit the out-of-pocket of $5,000. So now the question, what plan do I choose? If you've been on an HSA and it's working, that's where I'm going to go. If you've been on the PPO, lower deductible plan, and maybe you want to get the tax savings by contributing to an account, this is a good time to switch. I usually say if you are a low utilizer, you may have 1 or 2 doctor visits, maybe 1 or 2 prescriptions a year, no procedures. HSA, great way to go. If I'm a high utilizer and I know I'm going to hit the out-of-pocket max, I know I've got to get big procedure coming up, HSA may be the way to go because it's only $1,000 more out of pocket and you're getting the tax savings, which is going to make up more than the difference of that $1,000 out of pocket. And as a reminder, all of your deductibles and out of pockets that you've hit with your prior carrier will be credited. And the prescription benefits, again, HSA, subject to deductible. And then you get these co-pays of $10, $40, $70. Tier 4 is a co-insurance. This is a high-cost specialty drug up to $150 that you have to pay. PPO, same co-pays, but not subject to deductible. And then I always like to stress, if you haven't already downloaded and used GoodRx, great app. It will actually tell you where to get your prescription at the lowest cost within a certain mile radius. The only caveat on this is if you use GoodRx, it will not bill the insurance because it supplies a discount card. And so it won't go towards your deductible and out of pocket. So if you're on the HSA and you're trying to hit that out of pocket, you will then just pay for the prescription. It's going to be subject to deductible and not use GoodRx. If you're not worried about hitting the out of pocket, it's a good way to go.
Hey, Brandon, since we're talking
Yes.
about prescriptions, I thought it might be a good time to remind everyone to refill prescriptions right now on the plans that they're on. Like we mentioned, the plan starts 8/1, August 1st, but we might not have our ID cards in hand. You will have coverage if you've elected it starting on August 1st, but you might not have your ID card. So I like to encourage people, get your prescriptions filled now so that there isn't any panic on August 1st and you don't know how to get what you need.
Thank you. That's a great reminder. Appreciate that. I also wanted to touch here on the contributions for the plans. You know, one of the things that we did an analysis on was the contributions by the employer specific to your industry. It came back that most of the time that the employer paid 80% of the employee cost and around 25% of the dependent cost. Now, MAP has made the decision to pay 80% of the employee in either plan, but they're actually going to contribute more on the dependent. They're going to do 50%. So a lot of generosity there in the fact that they're doing above average on the contributions. So, but when you go into Employee Navigator, you will see the employer contribution 80% on employee and 50% on dependent. And Employee Navigator will even show you how much you're going to have to pay via payroll each time. You'll be able to see that example there and decide what plan is best for you when it comes to costs. So there's a couple things we need to talk about with the logistics of an HSA and an FSA pertaining to the change of the plans. Just a couple reminders on the HSA. If you're under the age 55, you can contribute up to $4,300 in an individual per 12-month period, and then $8,550 for the family coverage. If you're over the age of 55, you get to contribute on a catch-up contribution of $1,000. And now here are a couple things that they're required for you to participate in the HSA and when pertaining to the FSA. We had a lot of questions about this yesterday. We want to make sure that we address this and hopefully resolve those questions. The first, in order to contribute to a health savings account, you must be enrolled in this HSA plan. Okay, so you can't be enrolled on your spouse's plan and then come on to this plan and contribute to the HSA. The IRS doesn't allow it. You only can be enrolled in this only. So no double coverage. If you can, or let me just back up. Also, if you're on Medicare, you're age 65, you enrolled in Medicare, you are not eligible to contribute to the HSA. You can be on that plan, you just can't contribute any deductions. TRICARE also, you are not qualified for an HSA, and these are all IRS requirements. Now on the FSA, if I were on the PPO plan prior to this, and I contributed to an FSA, and I now go on the HSA, unfortunately, the IRS is not going to allow you to contribute to the HSA in the calendar year of 2025 because I've already elected in 2025 on an FSA. I have to wait until January 1st of 2026 to contribute to the HSA. Unfortunately, now is the time, though, to enroll in the HSA to be able to contribute January 1st, 2026. And again, this is an IRS thing. They won't allow you to contribute for the next few months until January. The reverse, if I were on an HSA and I now switch to the PPO lower deductible plan, unfortunately, I cannot contribute to the FSA because I've already elected into the HSA. And then in January 1st of 2026, I can elect in the FSA. However, if this is my scenario and I have HSA dollars, I can still use those for costs. The IRS allows you to use HSA dollars regardless of what plan you are on. You just can't contribute. I'm going to pause there, Mandy. Any questions that we need to answer on FSAs?
No, I think you said it, but I'll just reiterate that it's moving to Paylocity to manage the FSA. So you may have an FSA currently with a different vendor. That's terminating, as you mentioned, 7/31 and starting new 8/1. That's probably the one thing I would say. And also for the HSA account, if you currently have an HSA account with Paylocity, you will be able to keep that account and just add to it. It'll be added as one whole group for MAP retirement. If you do your HSA banking with a different vendor, which some of them do, we will be able to provide instructions on how to roll those account balances over on the HSA to the new banking with Paylocity.
Thank you for that because, I hadn't mentioned Paylocity, so that's an important thing to remember. The other important thing is because we are switching to a new FSA policy, the prior one is going to be gone. And so if you do have money in that FSA account, we encourage you to actually spend this in the next few weeks because that amount will be forfeited. There are tons of FSA, HSA stores online. Amazon also offers products. You can buy products as small as over-the-counter items up to wellness things like saunas or cold plunges. And so if you have a large amount, you should be able to spend that pretty quickly. It might be fun to go on Amazon and do that. It's Prime Day, by the way. Okay, so hopefully that answered the questions on HSA, FSAs. If you do have questions, please refer them to Tiffany and we'll be able to get those answered. Just a quick thing on HSA accounts. Again, even if you have to stop contributing, you can still use your HSA dollars. You can use those for many things that are not covered by the plan. This is kind of a good list of those, but mainly if you haven't met your deductible, you can use it for that. If you're at your co-insurance period, you can use it for that. Physician fees, dental, vision, and many over-the-counter items you can use that money for. Okay, so I'll pause now. We've talked about the medical, the HSA, the two different plans. Now, navigating through healthcare, it's tough. It's one of the toughest things in life. And so, based on our 50 years experience, which is a lifetime, here are kind of the things that seem to come up over and over that hopefully will help you. The first is that the virtual visits, as we saw that came in during COVID, they had actually been here for probably 12 to 15 years, but they really caught on in 2020 because it was our only option. They are here to stay. This has changed the market of healthcare, and it's really still the best way to see a physician quickly. We're going to provide you the information and resources on how to utilize virtual visits, but you can get a physician in a matter of minutes. And they can even prescribe certain things. And so if it's not an emergency, this is probably the number one option to use. Keeping your preventive care exam preventive. We hear often that employees go in for a preventive exam, and for some reason, 2 weeks later, they get a bill for $100 or more. And they're like, I thought this was covered 100%. Well, it is, unless that the doctor asked you about something else not related to the preventive exam. If he or she did, they then changed it to a diagnostic visit and they bill for that. Also, if they did refills on prescriptions, that's all being changed to a diagnostic code. So we really encourage, when you schedule this, tell them it's only preventive exam. I don't want any type of diagnostic visit. I don't want any refills, and remind them when you're there. That way it's covered 100%. Along this line of doctor visits, one is, you know, it's hard to get into some of these specialists like dermatology. So we encourage you to schedule those out way in advance. Use the virtual visits if they're not too urgent. And then keep them relevant to the visit. We're finding out too now that doctors can bill several different codes that add costs. And so if you're there for one item and they ask about another and start to, maybe they're like, why don't we just go ahead and remove this mole? Or let's go ahead and freeze this wart. Well, that's not going to be covered under the visit. It's going to be an additional cost to you. So keep them the main reason why you were there, and realize that they're now even saying they have 15 minutes because they know that the 15 minutes is what they need to do to get reimbursed the full amount. 4 is utilize all the resources that we're going to show you. These are very helpful to navigate, and this goes with 5. Being proactive with your healthcare management. If you're registered on the website, you're looking at this frequently, looking at the claims. I will tell you, a lot of times carriers make mistakes. They don't correctly pay the claim. You have to be your advocate, and you have to be proactive. Don't let these things accrue over time and get sent to collections. Manage it. We have found that those that do this have a much better experience. And that leads to, you know, shopping procedures. Be that consumer. They're not all created equal. Some networks providers are more than others. There are tools that you will have that you can shop the procedure. We literally shop more time looking at shoes than we do on a heart procedure. And so again, be proactive. Preventive care, I've talked about this, covered 100%, no matter what plan you are on. And again, it lists here all the things that are covered. We encourage you. This is very vital for you. Many things can be discovered in the preventive exam that will avoid future large claims. This helps not only you, but the whole group, right? It affects premiums and all those types of things when we become the smart consumer of healthcare. I like this slide because it has a great spectrum of Aetna's care, going with the easiest of the 24-hour nurse line all the way to emergency room. And it lists there the symptoms that maybe you can use this for. And so definitely look this over. There's the resources where to go on those lines. Dental, this is pretty close to a lot of what the plans were. This is with Aetna as well. As a reminder, Aetna is in the medical, dental, and vision. This is a $50 individual, $150 for family. It's 2 preventive care exams every 12 months. It's covered 100% on preventive, which is usually all that we do. Basic, if we have some cavities, that type of thing, fillings, that's going to be 80% after deductible. Major crowns, that type of thing is going to be 50%. There is an out-of-network benefits, the same, $180.50, but just realize that out-of-network, you're going to have a balanced bill because they're going to take the average cost of the area. And if there is a difference, that would be your responsibility.
And I do have one more thing to add on the dental.
Okay.
The dental also runs on a calendar year. So starting on 8/1, August 1st, you're going to have $1,500 benefit maximum with this Aetna dental. And then that's going to start over on January 1, another $1,500. So you get a little bonus perk. We're not carrying anything over from any prior dental plans. So I just kind of wanted to remind you that you get to start fresh on the dental and get a new maximum on August 1st.
Yeah, thank you for that reminder, Mandy. And that's the same on vision, correct?
Correct, yes.
The one thing, too, I wanted to hit is implants are covered in major at 50%. Dentures, unfortunately, are not covered under dental. Vision, quickly, it's the Aetna Vision Network. This is a policy benefit that you get every 12 months, $0 for the routine exam. The materials copay is $25. You get up to $150 towards the frames and lenses. And then after that, you do get a 20% off. And then if you need an additional pair, it's up to 40% off. If you need contacts, the exam is more on that because it takes time. That's a $40 copay. And then you also you don't get an additional $150 if you have glasses. It's an either or on the contacts, up to $150 every 12 months. Mandy, it's your turn.
I'm excited. Okay. I'm going to talk about some of the resources and things that you can use to become familiar with Aetna and Principal. I think the first thing that is really important to everybody is the provider network. I know there's people all over the country, different states, and you're going to want to know how to find a provider. So eventually, when you get your ID card, you will be able to register at their website and use their app on your mobile phone, which is really convenient because when you do that, you can see your ID card online. You can get that cost comparison tool that Brandon had mentioned, where you can compare different procedures that may be happening and see where the lowest cost may be for you with the highest quality of care. You can track your spending. You can look at your deductibles and out-of-pockets. So those are things that are going to be really important for you once you get your ID card. But before that, you right now might want to look up some providers. So it's very simple. You would go to Aetna.com. It's highlighted there in the yellow. And then you click on find a provider. And then you need to make sure you say that it's an employer plan and you're a guest logging in. You put your zip code in wherever you may be located. And then you have to choose your network. And so that's an open choice PPO for both plans. And then at that time, you can look up hospitals, providers, specialists, any kind of naturopath, behavioral health, anything like that, you can find here at Aetna.com. So I would encourage you to do that in the next few weeks so that you can become familiar with the very large network and make sure that your providers that you want to go to are in network. Okay. Probably wanting to know the same thing for the vision and also the dental. So you also can go to aetnavision.com, and that's how you can look up vision providers. You'll put your zip code in, and then you'll just get results of vision clinics that are located near your zip code. So again, if you want to do that beforehand, you can do that right now, even before you register on the Aetna app. Dental, same thing. You can go to Aetna.com and you can put your zip code in and find providers. And if you go to the next slide, Brandon, there's a little picture of a tooth. That's how you will know that you can find a dental provider near you. And so that's where you'll be able to get lists of those providers that are in network. Okay. I'm going to cover the life benefits. This is a very generous benefit that your company is providing you. You're going to receive $50,000 in life insurance and AD&D, no additional cost to you, just because you are eligible for the benefit package. So this is wonderful. And then along with this, Principal is going to be offering voluntary life and AD&D coverage for you, spouse, and children. So this is something that would be an additional cost to you, but this is the first time offering, and usually because this is a group product, you're going to find the most affordable pricing in this product. So I would really encourage people sign up for the voluntary life insurance. The guarantee issue amount is $150,000 on an employee. That's a lot of life insurance. And again, it's going to be a pretty affordable rate for you. And you'll be able to see what your cost would be in Employee Navigator because it's based on your age. And so I would definitely encourage you to take a look at this, even if you just want to get 2 increments of life insurance right now, voluntary life insurance. Maybe you just want to do the 20,000. That's a great idea because every open enrollment, you'll be allowed to get 2 increments of additional voluntary life insurance, and you won't have to complete any evidence of insurability forms. And so that's the big thing right now with this voluntary life offering is you don't have to complete any of those forms that look at your health in the past 5 years and things like that. You can get the guarantee issue amount of $150,000 if that's what you want to do. So I would definitely encourage you to take a look at it.
And, one thing just to add on that, Mandy, there was a question, if I do the guaranteed issue this year, can I buy the increments next year? And the answer is yes.
Yes.
But this is the only time because it's being offered now to get the guaranteed issue. After this, as you said, it's just the increments.
Correct. So the disability benefits, your company will also provide short-term disability, and this is up to 60% of your earnings to a maximum of $1,000 a week. The payment period on short-term disability is short. It's 13 weeks is the maximum, just depending on what your diagnosis is. That will be provided through Principal. You will have an option to buy long-term disability if that is something that you are interested in. There is a voluntary long-term disability product offered through Principal. It's going to cover up to 60% of pre-disability earnings, a maximum of $6,000 a month. And this payment period could go on up to Social Security normal retirement age. So again, this is going to be based on the age that you are and the income that you have. So when you go into Employee Navigator, you'll be able to see what the cost would be for you based on your age. So that's something that you might be interested in, can take a look at.
Mandy, there was a question that came up on this, so a reminder again, all policies are being canceled if they were tied to group. So this is another one of disability. This is going to be your new policy, and you do need to enroll. But if you were covered under the former policy and disability and you have a condition, let's say pregnancy, you will be covered under this. There is no pre-existing if you've had that prior coverage before.
Correct. We might need to ask for the prior coverage certificate, but that's pretty easy to get from the carrier. Okay, there's other voluntary benefits available. I'm not going to read line by line. Again, you're going to have all the information in Employee Navigator when you log in there. There's voluntary accident coverage available, voluntary hospital coverage available, and voluntary critical illness coverage. All of those coverages cover different types of incidents and things. So the pricing is all in Employee Navigator, and you'll be able to see the full summaries when you log in there and look at the resources on the side. Okay. The principal EAP. So this is a really nice thing because you're all going to be enrolled in the life insurance, the employer paid $50,000 life insurance. Along with that will come an employee assistance program, an EAP. And so this is kind of a great resource. It's confidential. No one knows about it. And it just gives you a little extra help, maybe points you in the right direction if you have some things hitting you that you don't really know what to do. So you can get in-person or virtual counseling, 3 sessions per year. That's included in this plan. You can get consultations to help deal with different issues, maybe some legal things that are going on. They have financial wellness consultations if you're trying to get help with budgeting or debt consolidation. They also have identity theft resources and then work life webinars. So these are just kind of motivational talks and things that might be able to just help you. And we have that resource through Principal. Okay, Principal also has a website and an app for you. And again, once you are enrolled in the plans, you would be able to log in and create a registration here. So you would be able to view and manage your claims there. You could access your summary of benefits and your benefit booklets all in one place. You could find discounts and different services there, and more information on the EAP would also be in there as well. Okay, this is really important. This is Employee Navigator. We've mentioned it several times, and this is how you're going to enroll in your benefits for August 1. And as Brandon mentioned at the beginning, it opens on July 10th, and then it closes on July 18th at midnight. So it's really important that you go to the Employee Navigator site and you put your company identifier in there. It's MAP Retirement. And then you're going to create your own username and password. I know there are some of you that already have Employee Navigator accounts because that's currently how you enroll in your benefits. I need to stress this is a brand new account for you. This is a new plan. This is a new group. So you will need to create a new username and password. You can't use your old login to enroll in the new benefits. And then once you've created that login, you're going to click through and it's going to ask you how you want to enroll. And at that point, you'll be able to see the pricing if it's just you enrolled, if it's you and a spouse, or maybe just you and a child. And you can kind of play around with the enrollments that way and also the plans to see what's most cost effective for you and what's going to work best for your family. It's very, very personal. So that at that time, you'll be able to see the pricing. And again, if you're not enrolling in one of the benefits, you would need to waive that benefit or say you're not interested in that benefit, save and continue, and then click on to the next benefit. And you just keep doing that until you get through all the benefits that we've talked about today. And then on the very end page, you'll get to see a summary of your plan selections. And then it'll show you what your cost would be. And then you submit that electronic signature, and then we've captured your enrollment. If you need to go back into Employee Navigator maybe 2 days later because you made a mistake and you want to elect something that you didn't elect, you can still do that. Again, the final open enrollment closes on July 18th at midnight. So we just want to make sure that whatever changes you do, you get it, you make them at that time before July 18th is over.
Thank you. All right, maybe we just pause here and review a few major items, reminders. So we are partnering with Aetna for medical, dental, and vision. We are partnering with Paylocity for the HSA, FSA,
and DCA.
We are partnering with Principal on the life, disability, and other ancillary lines, voluntary products. All of your deductibles, co-insurance, out-of-pockets will be credited, but you will need to be patient. That's going to take a few months. If you are with Aimpoint, you will need to submit your explanation of benefits
Yes, it
to
will be your latest explanation of benefits that will show the accumulator of how much deductible, how much out of pocket that you have hit so far. If you have family members on the plan, we need to make sure that we see those as well so everyone can be credited appropriately with Aetna. And then you'll submit those EOBs to Tiffany and she can get those to us.
because we are canceling all the prior group policies. This is a qualifying event for you. You can change your eligibility at this time. You can change plans. You can change your enrollment on dependents, those types of things. As a reminder, if you're on an FSA and you have money in that FSA account that hasn't been spent, you need to do it by July 31st because we are starting a new policy. As a reminder, if I were on a PPO plan and I did an FSA and now I'm going to the HSA, you can't contribute until January 1st, 2026. And the reverse is the same. If I was on an HSA and I now go on the PPO, I cannot contribute to the FSA this calendar year. I have to wait until January. But you can use the HSA dollars for any costs. Anything else? Oh, the other thing too is I encourage you right now to use the resource of Aetna.com for finding a provider. This is where you're going to have access. We realize there's a lot of changes across the United States. We ask you to do that so that you can see for yourself if they are in network. I know everybody has personal needs there that they're going to have to address. And get your prescriptions filled now.
Yes.
We're not going to have ID cards back in hand by August 1st. We will try to get to you a temporary ID card as soon as we can. It's going to be a few weeks before we get that because we have to get everybody enrolled in Employee Navigator by next Friday, July 18th, and then take that data and give it to Aetna, and they're going to take some time to put you in the system. I do want to guarantee you and promise you, you are effective August 1st. You do have coverage. If you need to make appointments, hopefully they will allow you to make an appointment without the information on the new policy. Most providers will. But we'll try to get that information to you as soon as we can. I think that's it, Mandy.
I think that's it.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Best of luck. And again, if you have any questions, give them to Tiffany. We'll try to get them answered as soon as we can. Thank you.